everybody, it's Kenzie Knox and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I thought we'd paint this really easy, simple holiday painting that everyone could enjoy, from beginners to advanced painters. So to begin off with, we're going to add a few colors to our palette, including titanium white, Mars black, and phthalo blue. And we're going to mix these three shades together, so a lot of white, a hair of black, and a hair of phthalo blue. And we're going to mix these together using a 1-inch mop brush. And we're going to mix that up on our palette after we spray down our canvas. I'm sorry, spray down your canvas first. I always forget this step, I'm so sorry. But we're going to mix a hair of black and a hair of blue in that titanium white and a large sum of titanium white. And this is going to be our sky color. So we're going to paint this all the way up to the top and come down almost all the way to the bottom, about 3/4 of the way down. And so we want this background to be in high contrast with our foreground, which will be mainly white. And then we'll have obviously some trees that will be darker. So we kind of want this in the mid-ground shade. So if it's a little bit darker, that's okay. If it's a little bit lighter, I'd suggest going a little bit darker. We can lighten up as we get to the horizon. But since we'll have a lot of white in our foreground, this really isn't that necessary. So we can carry this whole shade the entire way down. As I said, this will be a very easy painting to do, enjoyable for every level of painter. So just paint in your background, get that in there. If you don't have 1-inch mop brush, you can use any large brush that you have. Next, clean off your brush. We're going to add in some white with some black, some Mars black, and we're just going to paint this in our foreground. So this is going to be our shaded snow. So our snow is not going to have any blue in it. It's just going to be white with a little bit of black. And if you have streaks in it, that's even better. It'll make some shadows, some like indications of shadows. Add some raw umber to your palette at this point, and we're going to take our liner brush. So this is a number 2 liner brush. So we're going to take some raw umber and some black, and we're going to get some water in there. So we want a watery texture, almost like an inky consistency. And we're going to take that and start drawing in some twiggy trees. I like to call them twiggy trees because they are just basically lines of thin branches off of a main branch or 2 main branches. And so have fun with this. We don't want to go all the way up to the top. We want to go about 3/4 of the way up the canvas. But you can draw these in any shape and form you'd like, because we're going to cover them mostly with snow. So just have fun and learn how to use your liner brush and learn what works and what doesn't work. And if you think you need more paint, most likely you don't. It's just that you need more water. So if your paint's not flowing, just add a little bit more water, and you can twirl your brush in that paint and mix it out. You can see I'm twirling it there. I'm starting another twiggy tree over here. So there'll be 2 twiggy trees that are tall in this painting, and these will be them. So just draw some branches off of the main branches. You can even draw little branches off of this. You can get as detailed or non-detailed as you'd like. If you're a beginner, stick with the basics. If you're more advanced, then you can add more branches off of these little minor branches that are off of the main tree. So continue painting those in until you're satisfied. And then once you're done, you can rinse off your brush and we can begin the next step. So switching over to a 1-inch oval mop brush. This is a Princeton mop brush. I'm not affiliated with them by any means whatsoever, but it was highly recommended by an artist that I enjoy watching. And I was not as impressed as I thought I would be by this paintbrush, so don't spend the money on this paintbrush. Just order, I think I ordered a pack of 5 of these for like $5. Not Princeton, obviously, they were just a generic brand. So I'd highly suggest just buying a generic brand of 1-inch oval mop brushes. Make sure they're oval mop brushes. But we're just gonna like tap this in, our titanium white, just tap that in over the branches. These trees are very simple. So next, we're going to rinse off that brush and go back to our liner brush. We're going to tap into our black and raw umber, and we're just going to paint in some twigs. And these are going to be trees in the very far background, and I guess we could have done this to begin off with, but that's okay. We're just going to put in some lines over here and make them get longer as they get out to the outside of our canvas. So today I'm working on 1x4T mixed media paper. If you're working on a canvas of any size of your choosing, that's perfectly fine. Canvas is much better to work on. Mixed media paper is quite difficult to work on, even if you prime it with a layer or 2 of gesso, but that's all I've got at this moment. So I just painted in some trees. These will mostly be covered by our Christmas trees. So now I'm switching over to a size 6 flat brush, and I'm going to tap into some raw umber, and I'm going to paint in some trees, some larger trees in front of these twiggy trees that we painted in. And so these are going all the way up to the top of the canvas. And then we're going to have another tree over here that's going to branch off. And these can get as funky as you'd like. They can get as twisty and windy or as straight or bent over as you'd like. It's really up to you. They can be weighed down by snow, they can be thick and branchy, or they could be thin and wobbly. It's really up to you. It's your painting. Get as creative as you'd like. This is the fun part. And now I'm mixing in some raw umber with some Mars Black, and I'm going to paint in a middle tree that's going to be all twisty and windy and branch off into different directions as well. These trees should all end up right around where the snow begins. So right around that 3/4 mark of your canvas. And you can follow me along and paint in these branches along with me, or you can make them up as you go. Now I'm switching over to my number 2 liner brush, and I'm dipping into that same raw umber color and making sure it's nice and watered down, and I'm just making some more branches. So just add some more branches to your trees as you see fit. If you don't feel comfortable doing this, you don't have to. You can continue using your size 6 flat brush, making larger branches, or you can make thinner branches using another size flat brush. If you feel more comfortable using a skinny flat brush like a size 2 or 0, that's fine. If you feel more comfortable using a filbert brush, I think that's a little bit more complicated, but go nuts. If you feel more comfortable with a brown brush, you can use that. Go ahead and use a round brush. So continuing on to the next tree, I'm just drawing up some branches from this tree in all different directions and shapes and sizes. And they're going off the canvas, and they're staying in the canvas, and they're just going every which direction and size and shape that you could think of. And we won't be covering these in foliage, so make sure that these are kind of clean and neat, but we will be going over some of them in snow. So if you mess up a little bit, it's perfectly fine. We can cover it up with some snow. I'll be doing additional lines of white paint and light blue violet and going forward. So going in the middle, I'm using that that black and raw umber color mixed together using water. Don't forget your water. Water is very important. And I'm just drawing some branches off of this tree. And remember that you can slow down this painting, or you can speed it up, or you can pause it if you need to. YouTube is very user-friendly, so you can go at the pace that you need to go at. Finishing off these trees with a few more branches. And then once you're done, you can rinse off your brush. And we're going to take our size 6 flat brush, but first we're going to add some lemon yellow to our palette. And we're going to tap into our titanium white and lemon yellow to create a buttery yellow shade. And we're going to begin painting in a fence. Make sure you have lots of titanium white compared to your yellow, so like a hair of yellow with a lot of titanium white. So it's like 98% white, 2% yellow. And so these are going to be wide and thick and slightly separated apart. We want to be able to see through them, so I'm going the width of the brush, but you can make them thin and lots of them, or thick and little less of them if you'd like. So it's your fence. You can make it as however you please. Now I found that some of my paint was still wet when I was doing this, so in a second I'm going to actually dry off my canvas. So if you'd like, you can actually stop at this point and dry off your canvas first and then continue painting. But I was a little bit stubborn and tried to paint in additional layers to cover that up, but I probably should have just dried this off instead. And you will need additional layers of paint on this yellowy butter color, because titanium white and yellow is not that transparent, but you don't want to definitely see through them. So now I'm adding the caps to the fence, so it's just a quick little diagonal on top of them. As you can see, I'm still dragging paint, yet I still refuse to dry off my canvas. I try to avoid this because it just interrupts the entire process, your creative process, but sometimes you just need to. Sometimes there's just not enough to do on your canvas, and other times you can switch over to other parts of your canvas, but in this particular painting, there was nothing really to switch over to. I need this fence before going forward. So in this case, I decided to dry it off. In a second, I promise. I highly recommend drying it off at this point. You can see I'm just dragging this paint everywhere. It's not good. You can always cover it up though. Acrylic paint is very forgiving. Here's the hairdryer, so now I'm drying it off. please dry off your painting or step away and take a break and then come back. Back to our painting. So now I'm adding a little raw umber to titanium white in that yellow color, and I'm just going to paint in the fence with a little bit of brown in it. I just felt like this would look a little bit better, a little bit more natural than just the bright yellow buttery color, because the paint is dim and dingy in color, so I just want the fence to kind of match that sort of look. So hopefully this layer of paint, this technically third coat, should be not transparent at all. And if that is the case, then you're in good hands. But if you can still see through it, you might need another coat of paint. And you want these fence posts, sorry I should have said this a lot earlier, but to go past the snow line. So come like an inch down below the snow line. And now I'm just drawing the little pieces of wood that go across the board, so one on top and one below. You can paint these just between your wooden stakes if you'd like, or you can paint them all the way across. It's really up to you. To make it easier, I just drew them all the way across for beginner painters. And now we're going to add our light blue violet to our palette and take our, this is our rake brush, so our size 5 rake brush or size 6 rake brush. If you don't have a rake brush, you can just use a flat brush. And we're just going to add in some lines of phthalo blue to add some shadow to our wooden stakes. You can skip this step if you don't have a rake brush or you don't feel comfortable drawing some lines down it. Like I said, just take a flat brush and just draw in some shadows going down your wooden stakes. These will not be the main part of our painting. We'll have some Christmas trees in sap green, so add sap green to your palette, as well as take a medium size fan brush, and we're going to add some black to some sap green, and these will be our Christmas trees in front of the wooden fence. So we're going to start up at the top of the canvas, not all the way up, just leave a little spot for our little star that's going to go up there. And if you don't have a fan brush, you can always use a filbert brush. I will show you how to use a filbert brush once we move on the painting. So if you don't know how to use a filbert brush, skip on forward and I do a little Christmas tree after I do 2 large Christmas trees with a filbert brush, and you can see how I do it with that. But if you're taking fan brush, just keep getting wider and wider as you go down and just keep tapping your fan brush. Make sure it's fully loaded. You want lots of paint on that fan brush, and then you're just tapping it down and over, down and over, down and over, down and across. In this one, I'm just showing you another method where some people like to draw a line down the center. Don't drag your paintbrush down the line. If you do that, it changes the shape, and then you won't get the crisp edges that you're looking for. A lot of people make this mistake, and I figured out that why it was happening after a long time painting lots of Christmas trees. So paint these Christmas trees past the wooden stakes, and then once you're done with that, we're going to go ahead and add some white trees in front of the big tree in the center. And these are just going to be little twigs coming out of the ground that are covered in snow. And it just adds a little something. So using our liner brush again, I'm just adding some white twigs, simply titanium white. And now taking our light blue violet with our liner brush and some water. We're going to start adding that light blue violet to our trees and adding some snow. So this is a shadow to our snow layer. And you can add this to as many or as few branches as you'd like. It's really up to the painter. Make sure you're not too far from the branch. If you mess up, it's okay. Just try to connect the paint to the branch itself, but try to stay in line with the branches. We're going to go over most of these with titanium white afterwards, but not all of them because there is white in the background. So mainly just in the top portion of the painting, there'll be the white branches. Since the blue go over the white and there's lots of contrast there, we don't need to go over those with white. But in the background, since it's a bluey black shade, we will need to go over the blue shades with white, and it'll really bring out the snow. It'll really create that contrast that we're looking for. So now we're digging into our titanium white. So tap in your titanium white with your liner brush and some water. And we're going to add this to the branches mainly that are over in the sky. I hope that makes sense. Again, you can slow down this video if you need to. Just go to the settings, that little gear setting in your YouTube viewing field, and you can slow down the speed to half the speed it's going at, or even a quarter of the speed it's going at, or you can speed it up too if you've already done this step or you're already past this step. Once you're done with that, we're going back to a larger fan brush. So I think this is size 10 fan brush. I'm tapping into my titanium white. And we're just going to add some snow to our trees. So just tap that in. Again, and you can use a filbert brush doing this. Instead, if you're not comfortable using a fan brush, or if you don't have a fan brush, anybody can paint this painting. It's a very simple and easy painting to complete. I just wanted to get it out there so that everyone could have a Christmas painting or a holiday painting. I'm so sorry, I keep saying Christmas. I meant to say a holiday painting that everyone could enjoy to paint. So switching back to our size 4 filbert brush, we're going to take some raw umber and some of that light blue violet and titanium white. And we're going to draw a little pathway here that's going into the fenceway. And so it's getting wider as it comes towards us, so it looks like it's pulling us into the painting. This is a little bit of a shadow, so we're going to add some below the Christmas trees. Be careful that you don't drag the green into the paint. But you can make those trees go into the snow so that they're sitting in the snow and they're not sitting on top of it. We want it to blend in, and just add some shadows into your snow. Since snow is not naturally flat. Then we're going to take some titanium white and draw up on the mounds of snow beside the pathway, so it's like it's built up, so it's highlighted. And set that path right in there. And then we're going to add our luminous yellow and luminous red, as well as our light green permanent to our palette, and some luminous lemon yellow too, as well as some crimson red. And then we're going to take our size 4 filbert brush with some crimson red. You can use a round brush to do this. We're going to draw some Christmas balls or some holiday balls, whatever they're called. Ornaments. We're drawing some ornaments on the holiday tree. So go ahead and take your crimson red and paint that in. This will not show up that much. We're going to go over this with that bright, brilliant, luminous red. So that'll make it look more 3D and stand out more, and it'll look really beautiful in the end. So place these wherever you feel necessary or feel like they fit in. We'll have many different colored Christmas or ornaments, so just place them wherever you feel like it. Then I'm going to switch over after we rinse off our brush to our green, our light green permanent, and just plop those in. This is already coming out as a beautiful painting. I'm very excited about this. Holiday paintings make me so happy. I know it's not even Thanksgiving yet, but it's okay. I did my turkey painting. Okay, switching back into our luminous yellow and titanium white, we're going to mix those together and add our little star on the top. Right now it's just a little circle, and then we're going to draw out some lines from there using a different brush. But using our filbert brush or your round brush or whatever brush you feel comfortable making these little circular ornaments with, you can go ahead and just tap that in. We're going to make each of these ornaments brighter in color, so don't worry about it if they're not standing out too much. Once you're done with that, rinse out your brush, grab that luminous red and plop that on top of each of the cadmium crimson red you colored that ornaments that you placed in there previously. If your painting is not allowing for you to do this because it's not dry enough or it's just not accepting paint, go ahead and dry it off and then start placing in your ornaments. We don't want to cover the entire ornament, just most of it, but not all of it. We just want to kind of plop that on top. Using a size 00 round brush, I'm now going to go in with that luminous yellow and titanium white. I'm going to roll this paintbrush around so I get a little ball of paint on the tip of it, and it's not just in the base of the paintbrush. And I'm just going to draw in a little star here on top of the Christmas trees or holiday trees. Then I'm going to switch over to my size 6 filbert brush, and I'm going to tap into my sap green and Mars black and paint in a little line for a Christmas tree. This is how you can paint in a Christmas tree using a filbert brush. And we're just tapping all the way down. And so if you don't have a flat fan brush, you can use a filbert brush to paint in those big Christmas trees. And this is how you do it. So once we have our Christmas tree in, we're going back to our, we're going to a little size 4 filbert brush. I think this is a miniature or detail filbert brush. I'm not really sure why it's a size 4. It should be like a 0 or a 00 or something. I'm not really sure how I got this small filbert brush, but I'm using the light luminous yellow, the lemon luminous yellow, and I'm tapping in the center of the luminous yellow warm that we painted in previously. So one's warm and one's cool. This is the cool yellow. Moving on to the light permanent green, we're going to just go over those ornaments just to make them stand out more. Acrylic paint tends to stand out more if you add numerous layers to them. Usually one layer is not enough for it to stand out that much. tends to dull when it dries. So if you add another coat, it'll tend to stand out more. Now dipping into our luminous yellow, we're just going to go ahead, that luminous yellow and titanium white, we're going to add some ornaments to the mini tree. And then dipping into our crimson red, we're going to add those in. And then dipping into our light permanent green, we're going to dip those in, tap those in. And then adding the cool yellow, we're going to add in our star. Tapping that in over the light luminous yellow, the lemon yellow, to brighten those up. And then we're going to take the sky color, we're just going to add a little bit of shadow below the tree, so that's titanium white, phthalo blue, and a little bit of Mars black. And we're just going to shadow below the trees and the fence and just some other areas of pathways too. And then we're going to switch over to the size 6 filbert brush, tap into our titanium white, and tap in our little snow-covered mini Christmas tree or holiday tree. So this is just a snow layer. If it doesn't take, you can go ahead and dry off your canvas and then do this. Or you can be stubborn like myself and just paint it in. Then we're going to take that luminous red and tap in it over the crimson red ornaments that we made. And that about wraps up our painting. So I hope you enjoyed this YouTube tutorial. I know I did. I found it easy and relaxing and just fun to paint. And so until next time, I'll catch you guys later. Okay, bye!